Hey guys, it's Jason again. I'm going to be walking you guys through the difference between a closed shape or closed path and a singular line or an open path. Okay, I've got a couple of shapes here, lines, if you will, drawn, and it's pretty easy to see what we're looking at here. But I want you guys to pay close attention to this video. This video might take a little bit longer than our normal 5-minute video. And that's because some of the things that happen in this section that we're going to talk about are pretty important, okay? And they're important things that I see a lot of mistakes happen with early students that you guys look back and you go, why does this keep happening? Jason, I can't figure out why this mistake is constantly plaguing me. Guys, hopefully this video will show you if you remember it. If not, hey, you have this video to come back to, right? Hopefully this will walk you through it and help you alleviate some of the stress, especially when you're using some of these techniques when creating logos, okay? So I have basically a line and a shape and another shape or line, okay? Pretty easy to see this is a singular line, right? We zoom in, and when we zoom in nice and close, we see one individual line, okay? Then we get to a shape like this, and we see a closed shape, right? We can see that because if we toggle, we can see that it's a closed shape. This is an individual line. By the way, this is a keyboard shortcut, Command Y, if you want to see your outlines. And then you get down to something like this, and you go, why can't I select in this shape? It's a fill. Well, guys, it's not. It's actually a stroke that has a 100-point weight to it, okay? So the reason I want to point this out is not everything is as it seems, right? You may be looking at something saying, oh, no, that's thick enough, it's a fill. Your brain wants to say that, but it's really not necessarily the way it was created. For the sake of argument, I'm going to get rid of this guy because he's just going to be downright annoying. All right, and we're going to get rid of this guy as well, and we're going to focus up here on this singular line. We're going to make it a little smaller, and we will make it just a little bit thicker so we can see what's happening, okay? So now, let's say I have a stroke, and I want that stroke to be a complete path. Guys, this is a complete path if I was to draw it. I start at one side, come around, complete on the other side back where I started, right? Now, that's a complete path made of a stroke. That's interesting. But now with just a fill, I basically have a complete path that is enclosed, right? There's no openings. Common things that happen, okay? Let me zoom back in. Sorry, I didn't mean to zoom out on you guys. If I was drawing, let's say I was drawing the letter J. Let's see how good my pen work is real quick here. It's probably going to be pretty crappy. This is what I get for doing things on the fly. You're like, why in the world would you ever need to draw a letter J? You have typefaces. Sure. I actually do this though, because sometimes I want things to look kind of crappy, which it does. All right, so I had the letter J, and I just can't help it. I have to make it better. And it is a complete path, right? But you will oftentimes see where sometimes a student has done the dreaded double click in the corner, and they missed their closed path, right? So they think they got it. They were just a little short, but in essence, it is not closed. It is open. Guys, super easy fix, which we'll go through when we start to talk about the pen tool, but this is not a closed path. It is open, all right? So bad habit to get into. One thing I want to show you with how to create a closed path is, we'll get back to this fellow over here. I want to take this stroke. Let's say that I had created this, and let's add an accent on the outside of this, or on the inside of this letter. I'm going to come in here like this. I just want to give it a little bit of a glare, okay? So I want that to be a stroke. And I just click fill. Sorry, I need to do this. And let's give it a slight white tone to it. That's cool, but I don't really like that much. Let's give it some character. So I'm going to click on it and go up here to the stroke. And I'm going to choose to have a width profile of, what was that, 6? Don't ask me, I don't remember. But if you notice, that now gives me a pointed end, guys. Super cool. But it's still a stroke, right? You can see it's single line. So now if I go up here and I go to Object, Path, Offset Path, or I'm sorry, shoot, I just drew a blank right in the middle of this video. Object Path, Outline Stroke. Sorry, I don't do it that way always. I use the keyboard shortcut. I don't want to re-record this video. You guys can deal with the 10 seconds of dead air as your professor figured out what he was doing. Laugh at me all you want. So now I have a complete path, guys. This is perfect. This is exactly what we want. You want this in a logo design. You want complete whole paths in your artwork. The reason we want that is when you're scaling strokes, by default, a lot of times, your strokes are set to when you scale them, that they don't scale proportionately, okay? And a way to check that is that you would double click on the scale tool, which is probably below your rotate tool if you haven't clicked on it yet. Click and hold down on that. It gets you your scale tool, and that, double click, gives you the options for the scale options, which are scaling corners and scaling strokes and effects. I'm going to turn those off so you guys can see what they look like. And when I go to scale this stroke right here, the line is going to get shorter. But if you notice, the thickness is not going down, right? If I take that same line and I double click here and make sure that scale corners and strokes and effects are selected, now when I scale that line, notice how the stroke is corresponding to the size that I make it. This is great because if we had an outline on this ugly J that I created and that outline was green and I want that outline to have a multi-point stroke, I can go through and scale that, and the stroke is going to hold the same thickness in relation to the scale of the image, which is beautiful. If we don't do that, it's going to leave a 3-point stroke on a very large object. So sorry guys, this video was a little long. You can be upset at me for the 10 seconds of dead air. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm always around to answer them for you.